Hey guys, and welcome to VRAC. This is the ultimate Xbox 360 rare video game collecting guide. So, a big video like this will have to come with adventure. Come with me, and let's discover the myths, the legends of Xbox 360 rare games. Now, I have it on good authority that there's gold here. So, let's go ahead and see. We are almost there. This isn't gold. This is Naughty Bear Gold Edition. I mean, I guess it's technically right, but... Uh-oh. We better get going. Oh, God! You see that thing? It's coming at me. That thing. Man, Naughty Bear Gold Edition. I don't know if it was worth it. Let's dip over here. Oh God! I stubbed my toe on a poisoned dart. No. This can't be it. Quick, call a witch doctor. Call an ER doctor. What do you mean you have no cell service? Oh, no, it's over. The stages of grief, stages of death. First acceptance, then violence, then unacceptance, then cannibalism. I'm looking forward to that part. But beyond that, what am I gonna do? You have to listen to my last wish, okay? The last thing that I want to say with my dying breath is collecting Xbox 360 games. I know, it's crazy. Why would I give away such secrets? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna die and then probably eat you. But listen to my final words and take this wisdom for yourself. Collect these games when you find them, if you can. First off, let's get into it. Fist of the North Star 2, Ken's Rage. I think it's a beat 'em up. It's definitely rare. You need to find it. It's complete in box, preferably. Secondary is Tornado Outbreak on Xbox 360. So Tornado Outbreak is sort of like a platformer. I don't know a ton about it. I do know that it is very rare. It's published by Konami, I believe, and it's the first and only time that they've ever touched the IP. But Tornado Outbreak looks like a really fun game. It's definitely one to keep an eye out for. Next up is Zoid's Assault. So Zoids, as a series in general, is always very hard to find games for. Zoids on GameCube itself is a pretty pricey game, and Zoid's Assault on Xbox 360 is getting up there too. I believe the last time that I saw it was around 40 or 50 bucks, and that was a few years ago, so God knows what it is now. I might look it up and put a number up here, but that's if I'm not dead yet. Next up is one of the only shmups that I haven't covered on this channel yet, and that is Death Smiles. Death Smiles has gotten a few re-releases recently in a 2-pack with Death Smiles 2. I know on a Nintendo Switch, and I know it's digitally on like Xbox and PS4. I don't know of a physical release for PS4, but ow my toe. Jesus. Next up is going to be Operation Darkness. This is sort of an anime-themed game. I don't really know what the gameplay is like. I think it's turn-based, but Operation Darkness is, I believe, published by Atlas, and we all know how Atlas games go. Don't quote me on the publisher on that one. I'm not super sure, but I know that Operation Darkness does look like a really cool game, just judging off of cover art. They say you shouldn't judge a game by its cover, but they also say not to go raiding dark temples with flip-flops on. And I don't listen to the rules. Next up, after Operation Darkness, we're going to be looking at Darkest of Days. We're almost alphabetical here, except I put Z and D before O and D. So, you know, I didn't pass second grade. Darkest of Days is a first-person shooter dealing with time travel going back to the Civil War. So if you ever wondered what it'd be like to have a machine gun up against gunpowder rifles, or black powder rifles, and this is the game for you. It actually looks pretty zany. It looks entertaining. It's definitely a 7th gen game, like, to its core. But it's definitely hard to find now. Darkest of Days is one you got to keep a lookout for. It's going for around $30 last time I checked. Next up is a Canadian exclusive, again, to my knowledge, and that's Asterix at the Olympics. So Asterix has been a game series that for a while now has been out. I believe on Sega Genesis was some of their earlier games, but they did release a game physically on the Xbox 360. Now, I myself have never seen it, but that's probably because I'm not living in Canada. And this is a Canadian exclusive release. Still North American, though, so this is why it's on this list, right? We only do North American games. Next up on this is Watchmen. So this is like a beat 'em up. I actually played this game when it first came out, and I had a lot of fun playing it. It's definitely not a big budget title, but it goes on the story of Watchmen, and you play as Owl Dude and Mask Man. I believe that is their official monikers. But Watchmen's a super fun game. From what I remember, it's a beat 'em up, like I said. It's definitely hard to find. I know that there was a release on PS3 that's like called like an Ultimate Edition or something, but it's, and correct me in the comments down below, but I believe it's exactly the same as the one released on the 360. Next one that we're going to be going over is 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. Now, 50 Cent Blood on the Sand has seen a huge increase in price lately, around $90. And is it worth it? I mean, if you're like a huge 50 Cent fan, maybe, but it's totally 7th gen game. It's a shooter, like a third-person cover shooter. Story is like, well, I mean, it's a 50 Cent game, so it's about that. But if you find it, it's super rare to find now. It must not have sold very well. Who would have thought? Next is going to be Majin in the Forsaken Forest. Not only is this game a hidden gem, but it's also becoming a rare game to find. Majin in the Forsaken Forest is going for around $30 now, when it was a bargain bin, $5 or less, just a few years ago. So catch that before it starts rising up even further. Now, this one is a personal game of mine that I'm looking for currently, and that's Resonance of Fate on Xbox 360. Now, Resonance of Fate has a real Final Fantasy-esque look to it. It's definitely a game that you don't see very often just going around, and it's an RPG, which is always great to find on the 360 because there's a lack of them on the console, being that it didn't get much love over in Japan and stuff. But Resonance of Fate is actually produced by Sega. I think it was Sega. And it looks like a super cool game. It's definitely one I want to check out, and it's really super hard to find now. It's definitely one to keep an eye out for. If you see it, snatch it, because it's only going to be harder going in the future. Next up is both volumes of Konami Classics, which is Konami Classics Volume 1 and Volume 2, the rarest of which includes Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I think that's the main one that a lot of people go after, is the fact that it's a physical HD version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So that game is super good game. I mean, Castlevania is just a great series, and that's personally one of my favorite games from it. And it's on the 360, achievements and all. So that one's actually getting a lot harder to find now as well. I couldn't tell you a price on it, but do you hear that? Oh, 1 second. I think I found treasure. Oh, what is it? An Atlas published Xbox 360 game? This has to be rare. The Testament of Sherlock Holmes. The price tag only says $10, so this game's only going for about $10 now. But if you ask me, any Atlas published game is definitely a game that's going to be rare. Am I correct? So currently, Testament of Sherlock Holmes is a pretty uncommon game. You don't see it everywhere, right? And it is not being reflected in the price at all. Like I said, I just picked this up for $10, and checking on eBay, it goes for around that price. But being that it's an Atlas published title, oh, the poison must be kicking in. Uh, this game is currently, I would rank it just as uncommon, okay? But this is definitely a game that you want to pick up now because this game is only going to go up in price. There are far less copies of this game than people want to think. So keep an eye out for the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Pick it up if you can find it. That's the next on the list. Next up is Nier. So most people are familiar with Nier Automata because it was a huge hit on PS4. It just got announced for a Switch version. But Nier, or just original Nier, is on the Xbox 360. And it didn't sell a ton. So it's actually a game that not a lot of people even know exists. But Nier on the original Xbox 360 is a really good game. It's got a great story. If you like Nier Automata, you're gonna like this Nier. And it is a rare game. It goes for around $30 now, but I only foresee that going up in price. Right, we're at the rock bottom prices for 360 currently. Moving on from Nier is a personal favorite of mine, and that's going to be Azura's Wrath. So Azura's Wrath is a Capcom game that was published, and it's an original IP that Capcom made based off of Hindu mythology, and it's sort of like God of War, where Azura starts off as a god, right? And it's very much, I won't go too much into the story, but it's very much if you took like Dragon Ball Z and mixed it with God of War, you would have Azura's Wrath. It is such a cool game, and I'm pretty sure it's like a $60 game right now, maybe $70, but it is totally worth picking up. Definitely download the DLC because you can't even get the true ending without paying an extra like $5. But it's worth it. Like, download the DLC before it becomes impossible to download and get a physical copy of Azura's Wrath. You're going to enjoy that game. I don't care who you are. It's a great, great game. Super hidden gem. So after Azura's Wrath, the next rare game on this list is going to be El Shaddai. It's a hard to pronounce name, but the game itself, it's like a, how would I say, almost like like a Bayonetta clone, or a God of War clone, or a Devil May Cry clone. It's in the essence of that, right? Where it's a third person hack and slash sort of run around, but it's got really cool visuals. And I couldn't get super into this game, but there's a game on the Nintendo Switch and on PS4 called The Lost Child that actually takes place in the same world as El Shaddai. And you can actually play as the main character in that one. Now, that one's like a first-person dungeon crawler. Super good game. Not a 360 game, though. But El Shaddai is a very rare game, and it's definitely one that you should check out to add to your collection. Well, we're reaching the end of my life here. The poison has kicked in pretty deep, and so far, nobody's sucked it out of my toe. So, we are down to the very last game on this list, and this game is almost without a doubt the rarest Xbox 360 game that exists. And I'll put the VRAC name down on that. Not that it means much for much longer, but this game has got to be the hardest North American game to find for Xbox 360. And that is F1 2013. That's right, it's a racing game. Formula 1 2013. Don't ask me why, but that game is so impossible to find. I've talked to a few complete collectors out there who have complete collections or are about to get complete collections, and they said that this is one of the, if not the last games that they were able to find for the North American set because it's just that rare. It must have been an extremely low print run, probably the minimum that Xbox would allow, and it is probably a horrible seller. I mean, because who in 2013 was playing F1 racing games on their 360? You're playing Forza Horizon, Need for Speed, something like that. Maybe even NASCAR, but F1, Formula Racing, I mean, it's rare for a reason, right? But it is one of the hardest to find Xbox 360 games. Well, Thank you for letting me impart this knowledge on you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the list of Xbox 360 games. VRAC out.